After fighting so hard to get your business to start running smoothly, you may start to think about what could go wrong and planning for it. In this week's Hot Seat episode, Shane has his business all sorted out. He has the repeatable system, he has content that brings in leads, and he has the staff that he needs. After only 4 days off in 2 years, his system is running so smoothly that he now wants to build in a safety net in case his current way of doing business becomes unavailable. Jonathan challenges Shane to take 2 weeks in 2 weeks to put his systems to the test and helps him figure out how to connect with people outside of social media. I'll be back at the end to recommend another episode. Enjoy.
Shane, you awake yet?
I'm here. I'm ready. I'm raring to go. Full of beans, John.
All right. Tell us all who you are.
I'm Shane. I help people become pain-free. Generally speaking, work with people with chronic pain, have had pain for years, and help them get out of pain and get their freedom back, freedom to do the things they want to do, freedom to do it without wondering how it's going to make them feel tomorrow.
Cool.
And that's what I do. Sometimes the ultimate goal with someone isn't actually pain-free. But we get into those details when we get on a call, all right? But that's basically what I do. It's kind of dear to me because for years and years and years, everything hurt. And then I figured out a way to fix it. I get to offer that to other people. So that's pretty damn cool.
Sounds good, man.
So the question, I guess, for you is what's next and what do I need something outside of, need's not really the right word, but do I want something outside of Instagram as well? So
Okay.
I'm basically at a point now where I kind of haven't had a day off pretty much. I've had like 3 days off something since the beginning of last year. And I've been working my ass off and doing this a lot. But I'm now kind of at a point where obviously I've heard you say this thing multiple times. What would this look like if it were easy? I don't know if easy is necessarily the right word, but I now have a really simple, repeatable process for the business. I've got a couple of specific posts that generate very specific avatar followers to Instagram. I can boost those a little bit as and when I need to sort of turn the tap on and off. I have a couple of lead magnets that I use as well. So basically the process is we've got new avatars coming through. We've got DMs happening in the background. I have a setter that works with me, but she's only taking conversations to a certain point and then passing them over to me. She's doing really, really good. She's getting a lot better at that as well. And it's a constant learning process and training process with her, but we'll be getting to a point pretty soon where she'll actually be booking a lot of the calls.
Cool.
Then there's a couple of lead magnets that get thrown up. So just once every sort of 2 weeks, there's one in particular that works really well, which is just a 6 or 7 minutes, 3 exercises you can do at home to start getting control of your spine and help with your back pain. So that gets more interaction and DMs and conversations happening with these avatar that are coming through. It's also obviously adding to a mailing list, which is sort of steadily growing as well.
Cool.
So there's that, which is pretty simple. I've also brought on, she's only in week 3 at the moment, an assistant coach who, as I said in the form that I sent to you, I think I may have found my Amber. And the reason I call her my Amber is
because you can't have mine.
Well, no. But one of the things with her is all of her strengths are all of my weaknesses.
Yeah.
And that's why I call her my Amber. She's also good friends with Amber, funnily enough. You've met Ashley before.
Cool.
All right. So she's been a client of mine. She's been trained in OTM. She's been a client of mine for a year. She had back pain for 8 years and now doesn't after working with me. Like it's just, it's really good. So that being said, she's only in sort of the first few weeks, but it looks like I've got the staff I need to help and
I love it.
everything is kind of smooth and simple, and everything is straight out of the ATM playbook.
Yeah.
I mean, everything was learned
So
here.
what's the problem then?
Well, there's twofold, right? One is
Yeah.
I've worked so fucking hard every goddamn day for so goddamn long.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it shouldn't be this easy. I don't know if that's just out of habit or it's my
Yeah.
mindset. But then the other question is, do I want to get things set up outside of Instagram?
Right.
Because there's part of me that's like, I don't want to be beholden to Meta. Like, I know
Sure.
people that have had their accounts not necessarily closed, but shut down, or they can't do ads, or they can't do,
You can't control it. I mean,
yeah.
Meta decided for about 12 hours 2 days ago that it really, really liked me. And it showed one post of mine randomly to 1.7 million people out of nowhere and gained me 4,000 followers. And then, like there was a switch, it just stopped. That was it. Gone. Finished. Like out of nowhere. Like it's so comically unpredictable that you just can't rely on it. So I get it. I mean, anybody who I know that has had their account shut down, like they were probably doing some sketchy shit. But you definitely can't rely on it and sleep well at night.
Yeah,
That's
and
the right
that's
way to
what it
say
is.
it.
Yeah, well, it's the old, all the eggs in the same basket type
Yes,
thing, right?
sure.
And I don't expect Meta to shut down my account or anything like that, but at the same time, I don't know what happens when if their servers break. God knows, right? It's just like I said, eggs in the same basket. So the question is, I'm not ready to do these other things yet, because as I've got these two people working now, like there's still processes and things that need to be done properly right now, and training, and make sure everything's super smooth.
Yeah.
But is just expanding on what I'm already doing and increasing the mailing list and whatnot, is that actually just the right thing to do? Can I rely on this? Am I worrying about worries probably too strong a word, but am I worrying about something that I don't really need to? So the couple of ideas that I've got, that one of my greatest passions is rolling around on the floor, hugging other sweaty men.
Yeah. See who can hug harder, better, faster. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very strange way of asserting dominance over other sweaty men, but
Yes.
with that said, so that's my passion. There's a lot of the circles that I'm in. It's not necessarily who I want to work with, though, from an avatar perspective. I find personally, I mean, I know a lot of people obviously do work with, combat sports people, jiu-jitsu people, but for me, jiu-jitsu people are just more trouble than they're worth in relation to clients, because there's constantly changing up programs and processes, because there's injuries are happening all the time, and it does actually make it. Also, a lot of people they want to spend all their time doing that. So they'll
Yes.
do this just enough to feel okay and good, and then get back to it. And then this is just a secondary thing. So it's not
Right.
necessarily they're not necessarily great long-term clients either.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's millions of people that do it. So obviously that's a big rash generalization. However,
No, I get what you're saying.
there's a lot of people that are doing jiu-jitsu that are, 40 years old, and they've got back pain and this, that, and the other. So, there is that, my avatar is in that group as well. So a couple of the thoughts that I had in relation to doing something outside of it, was starting a podcast, and it needs a better name, but it's like, the best jiu-jitsu clubs of Australia. And all it is literally an interview with head coaches or owners of clubs, and just asking them about their club. Like, why is jiu-jitsu good? Why is it good for people? Why is it good for kids? Why is it good for older people? Which obviously we get onto sort of my avatar. And then why do people want to, train at this club specifically? So,
Right.
obviously, more than anything else for me, that's just a way of generating relationships with people that
Yeah.
have influence over these people that are doing jiu-jitsu. If done properly, it's probably something that they can proactively use to promote their own club as well, because that's something that most clubs find it very difficult to do, is if they've got someone that's training
Right.
with them, but their friend's asking about it, how does someone tell their friend why jiu-jitsu is good? Like, it's kind of
Right.
weird. It's like,
Send them
what, you're
send them to this
around.
episode. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
you
So
know, so and so has been interviewed on whatever. You can provide them with a couple basic materials. You can
yeah.
even provide them with like a mail out to send to their community, right?
Yeah, and I was
Uh,
thinking about, like little business cards or what, like, make 50 little business cards for everyone with a little QR code that they can go and scan. I mean,
well,
it's
yeah.
it's a price that, but like, there's a few like little details thing there,
Okay,
and
so
yeah,
I'm going to
but
stop you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
here's what I'm hearing. Um, here's what I'm hearing. Number one, I think you might be in a very good position to jump on something that I call take 2 weeks in 2 weeks, which is a way to add rocket fuel to your systems and to your operations. And it's scary as all hell. But the idea is in 2 weeks' time, you are going to take 2 weeks off. And not like, oh, I'm kind of not working today, but I'm checking in. It's like, nah, you are gone. Now, this doesn't have to be in 2 weeks. It's just take 2 weeks and two
Well,
weeks.
next Thursday I'm going to America for 2 weeks.
Okay. Next Thursday might be a little bit too soon for this. Maybe not. I'm not sure what you have in place. But what this will do is two things. Number one, the period leading up to that time off, you will get really, really good at building out all of the systems you've been putting off building for a long time in order to get somebody else to take over basically everything that you're doing right now. The second thing that will happen is once you get back after 2 weeks, you will figure out very quickly that a lot of shit broke. And what that does then is it gives you crystal clear evidence as to where the holes in your systems are. And you'll know exactly what to go in and fix. Also, I think you just need a holiday. But so that's number one. That's the first thing that came to mind. The second thing that came to mind is I agree with you. Being beholden to Meta is a scary proposition. Building a business that is solely reliant on whatever the whims of the Silicon Valley profiteers have this week is not a way that I want to live my life. Whether it's a good decision or not is not a way that I want to live my life. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to take advantage of it while I can.
Hmm.
And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't invest into it, but I agree with you. I mean, and so two things came to mind that I jotted down as you were talking, Shane. The first is to not be worried. Like, you have proven resilient over the course of your career for as long as I've known you. I'm not so worried that you're going to be able to figure it out. If if Meta goes away tomorrow, a lot of people are going to be screwed in a lot of ways. You have the capacity and the resilience and the skills to come out of that better than ever. And so, number one, I think that that's something just to keep in mind. I mean, for everybody here, to be honest, there's like, if that were to happen, a lot of people will realize very quickly that they were wasting a tremendous amount of time.
Hmm.
So take advantage of now. The second, though, is whether it's this podcast idea or not, but so okay, I don't believe that putting all my eggs in the Meta basket is a good idea. Okay, I agree with that. So the obvious next question then is, okay, so what do I do? How do I build redundancies into my business? How do I build more resilience into what I'm doing? And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's the boring old stuff of person-to-person relationships.
Hmm.
Particularly person-to-person relationships amongst people who are well connected and well respected behind the scenes in a world that you want to become the obvious choice within. And, the jujitsu, mixed martial arts, call it, gym owners. You could even expand that to people who are in that world. It doesn't need to just be gyms. It could be people who put on tournaments, right? It could be people who own or work in marketing or own companies that sell supplements or the tapes and all the other stuff that basically what are all of the things that serve this community? Can you celebrate them? Because those are the people, if you can build the relationships with them, that if social media were to go away or you just decide you're done with it and want to be away with it, which I feel you, bro. Those are the people, that's the Rolodex. Like that's actually going to be much more valuable than a bigger, a bigger platform on something that you don't own. So yes, email list for sure. But even email list, you're still at the whims of Google. And so, I mean, Gmail might decide that they don't want to accept your emails one day. Or they have strict things and you can't talk about stuff a certain way or whatever, right? People even that are answering emails or that are on your email list, like how long do you stay on somebody, even somebody you like, how long do you stay on their email list for answering their emails, reading every single email? It's not that long.
Hmm.
And so yes, these things are important, but these things are visual. And so their importance, I believe, is their importance is assumed to be much greater than I believe it actually is, simply because it's visual and in our face. What isn't is having a good relationship and a tremendous amount of respect amongst as many brick and mortar jujitsu studios around the world. I invested in a company in the sports card industry. And the guy who runs it, his name is Brian Purup. Now, Brian has a good social media following. I did an interview with him. But the reason that I invested in his company is because you know what he does? And I'm not recommending people do this. He spends 300 days a year on the road visiting every single tiny baseball card shop, hobby shop. He goes to every single show and he shakes hands and he films he doesn't tell them he's coming. He walks in with his cameras and he profiles their shop and talks about how great it is and talks to the owner and opens up packs with the owner. Yeah, you bet your ass I invested in that company because when that guy has his cases like a new way to display and protect like sports cards, when those are ready to sell, this guy is the most powerful Rolodex in the industry, regardless of social media. That I think is the valuable asset to build if you're willing to do it, other than social media. I think social media is fine, but you don't see
Yeah,
that
and
other stuff.
that's something that once again obviously takes time, and these systems and things have to be worked out now. But that's something that's exactly what I'm thinking about doing. There's the podcast thing, but there's also something else I'm thinking about doing with jiu-jitsu clubs, which is going to get me out there to talk to people, but then sort of a sort of free knee workout, so they can literally give to all of their members and whatnot, which will give them a reason to then talk about me as well. So
Yeah, sure.
the whole point is just get in, be that person for everybody.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then it's kind of like it's the doing that kind of shit in real life to then get them to Instagram to actually see in more detail what I really do.
Yeah.
Um,
And most
yeah.
won't. I mean, most won't, right?
But I don't need all of them. I don't need most of them. I only need
You
a
don't need
tiny
most of them.
percent if I'm there with everybody. Right? Exactly.
Well, that's exactly it. And there's going to be others that are never going to go to Instagram because they're never going to need to. Like, if I'm interested, like I'm looking at hiring a podcast production company, and I've got, I think, 5 calls tomorrow with 5 different agencies. Didn't look at any of their content. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what they have to say. I asked people that I trusted in that world if they knew people, and I booked calls with them. I mean, like, I don't care. Yeah, and so some of these folks are like, hey, here's my list of the top 10 things you need to know about podcasting. Like, I'm not opening that PDF. No, I'm not saying some people will. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing,
But everyone's different.
but everybody's different. Everybody's different. There's no way that I'm opening that PDF, man. uh, yeah, dude. I like the path that you're on. And I like the wavelength that you're on.
Can I just quickly ask one more thing? It just made me
Huh?
think of something. One of the things I'm thinking about doing also is creating a website.
Okay.
This is not happening tomorrow, but it's like, if I've got these lead magnets and freebies being made, I don't have that automated yet. That's one of the tasks that will be happening soon. So squeeze pages, that kind of thing. But
Sure.
having basically that depository or somewhere that people can go and actually get a good, so like this is what Shane does. And as you know, I work with I do FRC style training mostly. I'm of that religion as well as jiu-jitsu. But the exercises are fairly different and unique. And I've found when I first started this, if people became clients and had no idea what type of exercises they were doing, it
What?
kind of went a bit weird
Sure.
when they were clients. So I do like them actually having a bit of an idea of what they're getting in for before they actually start. So I guess not how important is it, but particularly if people are coming from these few different places, and then having something like a website or a website where people can go to and sort of see,
Yeah. Sure.
the kind of thing. You've obviously got the, testimonials, you've got the giveaways, you've got all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Is that worth the time and
It's not worth a lot of
effort?
time. It's worth
No,
it's
I'm
worth
just
enough
planning
it's
on
worth
making a
enough
very
time to
special one. Just like, yeah.
it's worth enough time to put up as a business card.
Yeah.
And then, you have that. And at the same time that you have that, you can use that as part of your onboarding or nurturing. I wouldn't look at it as any more than that.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah,
you're
and
like
that's
gonna try
exactly
to
it. Just
become a
putting this
blogger.
business going.
Like, I wouldn't look at it as any more than that. So yeah, sure. Put something up. Shouldn't take you very long.
2 weeks in 2 weeks. Fuck, I don't know what I would do for 2 weeks, man. I've had 2 days off twice in the last 2 years.
Sounds like a good time to buy a couple good books.
I read a lot.
Not
I've read
self-development.
No, I read. I need some brain candy just to quiet this down to go to bed.
Yeah.
Or Sunday afternoon for a few hours just to recharge
Yeah.
the batteries a bit. Yeah, yeah. Actually, one of my favorite books was, what was it called from you? The Humans. The
Oh,
Humans.
so good. He's coming out with a new one today. Yeah, Matt Haig. His new book
Man,
is out today. What do you think I'm doing
what a
tonight?
fascinating twist on how to look at people.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great one. So 2 weeks by next Thursday.
I don't know that I've got the systems in place with the staff yet.
2 weeks
However,
and 2 weeks.
I think I'll actually be catching up with Ashley while I'm over there, so we're going to figure out some stuff in relation to how that position is going to work. But
Cool.
maybe give me a month, because the staff is a bit new to actually take the 2 weeks off quite yet. But give
Sounds
me a
good, man.
month.
Sounds good.
But I like the idea. It scares me actually, but yeah. Actually, no, it doesn't. It really doesn't. That's a silly thing to say. That was an automated response. It doesn't scare me at all, which is probably a good thing because it actually excites me because I actually think it'll be fine
Yeah.
for the first time in like shit 4 years.
Well, you earned it, man.
Amber here. Thanks for listening in. This episode was from a group call from Jonathan's online trainer mentorship, where we host hot seats every 2 weeks. The mentorship is where we take anyone doing from $1,000 to $20,000 a month or more and help them scale up. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in learning more about, please DM the word mentor to Jonathan on Instagram at It's Coach Goodman. If you're looking for another episode to listen to right now, I'd recommend episode 271, Building Your Network in a New Space. Whether you're just starting or trying to grow in a new space, how you approach networking is different than when you're established. It means you'll need to be the one to make things happen if you're going to move the needle. In this episode, you'll learn the 3 principles to building your network, how to find an in to the person you want to get to know, and telling the truth backwards. Again, that's episode 271, Building Your Network in a New Space. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next week.